Oh, geez. Oh.
Boxes here. I think you step it over. There's another one.
I got a lot of plants. Hey folks, so it's the beginning of fall here, which is kind of, bittersweet because even as much as I love the fall, a lot of my plants that would normally be considered houseplants will need to come in soon. But we haven't had freezing temperatures yet, luckily. It is the end of September. I don't think we're going to hit freezing temperatures until maybe sometime in later October, maybe November, I'm not sure. Although we do really need a good freeze. But I've been lucky because I've been able to keep a lot of these houseplants outside. They've weathered extremely well. We did get a few days that were like 46, 47, 48 at night. So for anybody who's speaking in Celsius terms, that's a little under 10 degrees Celsius, so 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. And pretty much euphorbias. This euphorbia, I think this is Euphorbia rigida. It's a beautiful one. Look at that verdigris color on its leaves. Didn't flower for me this year, but I'll be pulling this inside. But I want to give them a really good fertilize. Probably even fertilize this back here. This is another Euphorbia Tiol, and you could see this wasn't even supposed to be the fire stick cultivar, but it has reddened up quite nicely. I guess it's oranged up quite nicely, and you can see the little tiny leaves right there. Look at that, because they don't always usually have the leaves. It just is this like big swollen stem. Beautiful branch shape. This just goes to show you could pick up some really fantastic specimens. I just got this at like Home Depot, so even at your big box store you might be able to find some specimens. Over here as well, I got some beautiful euphorbias, different cultivars. And agave over here. So they look like cacti. These are not hardy. These are all going to get fertilized. These sempervivums are hardy, so I could actually leave these out. This is also hardy. This is a Hylotelophilium. And you can see it's just about to bloom. It's really red, so this gets eastern facing, southern facing sun. Now this is not typically a house plant, and if you go a little south of here, we're in a zone 5-6. I think this is going to be hardy to like a zone 7-8. This is an olive tree, and I'm so glad to see the leafage on this because in the winter, when I bring it in, it loses quite a bit of its leaves. Not as much as like my citrus trees, but it's always like, when is winter gonna end? When is winter gonna end? So I'm gonna give this a good fertilize. And then this agave right here, you could see it. This is Havardiana, Harvard's agave. Beautiful coloration. I mean, pretty wicked leaf spines right here. See some seeds have gotten in there. And this is actually hardy, but because it's in a pot and it's not in the ground, I'm going to be taking this in as well. These, you might recall that I brought my Tansia outside and they're still looking good. Now I was a little bit concerned about these because, and I was shocked that this didn't flower yet. Maybe it's because it's pretty much in the shade of this tree, not in the sun. But I didn't know how well these would do if it was under 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And these have seemed to weather any of the storms here, so they're all doing great. I did get a little bit of blistering over here on my Filodendron. So you can see this was one of the older leaves, and it looks like it got, I don't know, sun damage and water damage. And then it shot out 2 or 3 new leaves. And typically when this happens is this was the leaf that was in the house. So it only had house light, the light that was in the home of the meadow home. And when you start to move it out and shift it out from, you know, spring, summer months, the old leaves oftentimes have a difficulty in shifting to that amount of light if the light has increased dramatically in a short period of time. And even though I had this kind of shaded to a certain degree, it was still much more light than what it was getting indoors. And it's really the new leaves that are going to be able to deal with the amount of light that we give it. So, but I could see that it's not maybe as green as I would want, so I'm gonna fertilize this as well. Probably needs a bit more nitrogen, so I'm gonna work on that. But for now, because most of these are my cacti and succulents, I'm gonna work on giving them a nice fertilizing here. And if there's any cacti and succulents that need a little topper, I brought the Bonsai mix, because when they're outside, I get a lot of wild animals that like to dig in and bury their seeds. And this area back here obviously doesn't have any of my houseplants, but got pretty dug up like right around here. I think we must have had a skunk in there looking for some of our wasps. But let's get some of these watered up. And you know, typically I would be a bit concerned about over watering these plants, but with the outdoor wind and air and sun and rain, nothing has rotted out, luckily. It also helps that I have them in these beautiful terracotta pots. It's funny because if you see right here, this is a lot more orange than back here, which is green because it's facing the house. So you can just see how that, I'm gonna wait to water these because look, these all need to be repotted soon because they're just basically spilling over the pots that they came in. I mean, they look really beautiful, but. And this is, like I said, is probably gonna be the last fertilizing that I do. I still have to do all the ones in the house, but just gives them the one last hurrah in the growing season because they will grow just a little bit. But as the sun wanes, they're gonna pretty much stop growing after that. These are always the most challenging. And I might, over the winter months, this may be a repotting project for me. Because once you get these indoors, you see how like the water's spilling all over the place. If these are not in larger things, it's gonna be almost impossible for me to water, which I stop watering them quite a bit in the fall months, in the winter months, indoors. So this is one of my snake plants. This also used to be indoors. I will pull it in, but you can see that this gets a lot of western sun, and I see that it's yellowed up a little bit, so I could have probably done better in fertilizing this. This is my tephro cactus. This is one of the pine cone cacti. And that one had started to get a little brown along the edges, so I took the cuttings, replanted them. And then this, if you recall, I did this nice little presentation a couple months ago before our garden tours. And this is all, these sempervivums are all hardy, believe it or not, but I might bring this in. That's a great thing about this sempervivum. I could leave it out, I could bring it in, but I don't know how good this terracotta is outside, because sometimes if it freezes, it could crack, and I've had that happen before too. This is one of my beautiful aloes that has tinged up quite a bit color-wise, but I removed it from here because it kept on kind of like tipping over, but you could see all of the babies right here that are from the mama plant, but they have their own roots now. Here's another snake plant. I've brought this one outside last year as well, and this one's done just fine. All right, this is the final one. Again, this one is a hardy sempervivum. Doesn't ever get water under here, but we'll give it water today and a little bit of fertilizing. You can see all the little pups that are coming off of there too. It's really cute. Okay, next on my list of things to do is to get some indoor fertilizer And then I'm going to work on fertilizing my citrus. That's been a little iffy this year. I'll show you why after. Let's concentrate on that philodendron. And this one has slightly higher nitrogen. And the Espoma Organic is an organic product. It's not a synthetic product. It means it's not been synthesized in a lab. And this, if you're trying to promote, let's say, good bacteria in your soil, or if you are looking not to like burn your plants because some of the synthetic fertilizer is too concentrated. So oftentimes if you're using a synthetic fertilizer, I would just remind you to maybe water it down, especially in fall time when the plants aren't really growing. A lot of the concentration is going to be going towards the roots as opposed to growing the above ground parts of the plant. So let me get some water in this and then we'll water that philodendron up. And I think what I'll do is just add a little bonsai mix to the top of some of these plants. So this was my lavender. It didn't really come up as I expected. It's very weedy. So I think each year I'm gonna have to plant new lavender in there. That's what I've assumed now after 1 year. Although this lavender came up just fine. So go figure. Oh, I already see a little baby agave. See that? Right over here. That's cool. If we ever get a dry enough place here that's really well draining, then I might be tempted to plant this outside and see how it works out because it is supposedly hardy to like a zone 5. Okay. Next on my list is going to be the citrus. And I'll take you over there because some of my citrus have gone through a little bit of change in the weather. So the sad news is I lost one of my citrus, this one. I'm gonna see if it actually buds out again, but I don't know if it will. We hit a couple hot days where I wasn't here and I wasn't able to water it. And then we hit a nice windy day and I could see all the leaves were over there, but they're starting to bud out again here, which is great. So I'm gonna make sure that I fertilize these. And of course, the chipmunk planted some sunflower seeds in here. Same thing happened with this one. You could see all this new leafage coming out and this could get dried out especially in these smaller containers I've found that they just dry out really quickly. And if you're not here to water them that day, and I don't have them, they're under the awning. So they have to rely on me for watering. This one's just fine. It got a little dry, but it's starting to bounce back. And this is all new leaves this year. And of course we have this one with this beautiful little fruit here. So that's yellowing up. Earlier in the season, it was a bit green. And these little fruits are coming out here too, but they might not just have enough nutrients to pump out. So that's what we're gonna do today. One last fertilize, and I'm gonna try to get these along the edge as much as possible because I don't wanna burn the trunk. And that's gonna be a little harder on places like this because if it's too small of a container. And then I'm thinking whenever I'm able to get a greenhouse, fingers crossed, these might actually just work better in greenhouse conditions. Keep them nice and humid and maybe have some kind of automatic watering system in. But this will be the last time I'm fertilizing these as well. I'm not gonna fertilize this one because there's no leaves on it currently, and we're gonna see how it does, but I might have to say sayonara to that one. All right, that's it for now. I'm gonna focus on the ones indoors probably within the next few days and work on some of the outdoor plants as well. All right, see you later.
Stay tuned on Plant One On Me for more botanical tours, talks, and how-tos. And if you're looking to further your knowledge on the plant kingdom, then have a look at our various online courses from Troubleshoot Your Houseplants to the Houseplant Masterclass. Additionally, we have a second channel we started last year called Flock Finger Lakes, where we cover more on outdoor gardening, habitat restoration, agroforestry, and even more. So check that out if that interests you. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next episode.